Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunda Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunda Bihari. Gopidana Balaba Grivadari Jaya Grivadari. Gopidana Balaba Grivadari Jaya Grivadari. Yasodanandana Raja Dhanaranjana Jaya Raja Dhanaranjana. Yasodanandana Raja Dhanaranjana Jaya Raja Dhanaranjana. Yamunadhira Varachari Jaya Kunja Bihari. Yamunadhira Varachari Jaya Kunja Bihari. Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Gopidana Balaba Grivadari Jaya Grivadari. Gopidana Ballabha Grivadari Jaya Grivadari. Yasodanandana Brajadhanaranjana Jaya Brajadhanaranjana. Yasodanandana Brajadhanaranjana Jaya Brajadhanaranjana. Yamunatiravarachari Jaya Kunja Vihari. Yamunatiravarachari Jaya Kunja Vihari. Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Verbhadrakacharya Asadhara Sadushi Shiman His Divine Grace Lacy Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Raj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Haribol Slava Zabrani Bhakta Slava Shri Guru Shri Gurangi Om Vishnu Vraya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutaya Srimate Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Tanamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskadyade Siddharne. Om Agyanatimanandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chaksuramilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutle Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Vrajana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabando Jagatpate, Gopesha Gopika Kanta, Radha Kanta Namosute, Tapta Kanshena Gorangi, Radhe Vrindavaneshwari, Prishubhanu Siddha Devi, Pranamami Hari Priye, Vanchakapa Trivyascha, Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha, Patidanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pranitananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 9, The Dynasty of Sumam, text number 46. Ye Vikshi Tendriya Diyo Devaste Swa Ridistitam Nevindanti Priyam Shasvad Atmanam Kim Uttarpare Ye Vikship Tendriya Diyo Devaste Swa Ridistitam Nevindanti Priyam Shasvad Atmanam Kim Uttarpare. Ankim Priyapare. Ladies, Evikshitendriya Diyo Devaste Swaridistitam Navindanti Priyam Shaswat Atmanam Kim Uttarpare. Yea, which personalities Vikshipta Indriya Diya, whose senses, mind, and intelligence are always agitated because of material conditions. Deva, like the demigods. Te, such persons. Swaradi, in the core of the heart. Sthitam, situated. Na, not. Vindanti, no. Priyam, the dearmost personality of Godhead. Shasvat, constantly, eternally. Atmanam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Kim Uta, what to speak of. Apare, others like human beings. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Even though the demigods have the advantages of being situated in the higher planetary system, their minds, senses, and intelligence are agitated by material conditions. Therefore, even such elevated persons fail to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is eternally situated in the core of the heart. What then is to be said of others, such as human beings, who have fewer advantages? Purport. It is a fact that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is always situated in everyone's heart. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hrideshe arjunatishtate. But because of our material anxieties, which are inevitable in this material world, we cannot understand the Supreme Lord, although He is situated so near to us. For those always agitated by material conditions, the yoga process is recommended, so that one may concentrate his mind upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead within the heart. Dhyana vastita tad-gatena manasa pashanti yam yogina. Because in material conditions, the mind and senses are always agitated. By the yogic procedures like dharana, asana, and dhyana, one must quiet the mind and concentrate it upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In other words, the yogic process is the material attempt to realize the Lord, whereas bhakti, devotional service, is the spiritual process by which to realize Him. Maharaj Kadvanga accepted the spiritual path, and therefore he was no longer interested in anything material. Krishna says in Bhagavad-Gita 18:55, Bhakti-yamam abhijanati. Only by devotional service can I be understood. One can understand Krishna, the Param Brahman, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only through devotional service. The Lord never says that one can understand Him by performing mystic yoga or by philosophically speculating. Bhakti is above all such material attempts. Anyabhilasita shunyam jnana karma dhirabritam. Bhakti is uncontaminated, being unalloyed even by jnana or pious activities. Even though the demigods have advantages of being situated in the higher planetary systems, their mind, senses, and intelligence are agitated by material conditions. Therefore, even such elevated persons fail to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is eternally situated in the core of the heart. What then to be said of others, such as human beings, who have fewer advantages? Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutaya Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskatyade Siddharne. According to Bhagavad-Gita, everyone is looking for peace. Because after all, one who identifies himself with his body, or the mind, or the false ego, or one's material conceptions of life, will always be agitated because this body is temporary. And therefore, whatever we're working for in the material world in order to maintain the body becomes a failure because we die. We may survive today. At least we should survive until the Janmashtami feast. But there's no guarantee we can even make it that far. And what to speak of beyond. But this is what everyone is interested in, because Pariksha Maharaj was speaking to Shukadeva Goswami, and Shukadeva Goswami mentions that when Pariksha Maharaj asks, what is the duty of a person who's about to die? So that's our greatest concern, is that we're going to die. And before we die, we grow old. So everyone is concerned, I'm growing old. Is there some possibility I might die in the future if I get too old? So we don't want to grow old because we're afraid of dying. We wouldn't mind it so much if I could be 35 forever. Better 20. But anyhow, can't be 20, at least 35. What about 90? Well, I don't know about 90. So everyone is worried about that, and therefore they're asking questions. how to preserve this body, basically. Where can I get money? Where I can get something to eat? Who's a good doctor? What's a good exercise? So everyone is interested in these things, and according to Shukadeva Goswami, they're asking hundreds and thousands of questions. Not only human beings, but even the birds are asking questions where the worm is, because even they're afraid of dying. Have you seen any eagles around here? Look out, he's behind you. Oh, thank you. So even the birds are asking questions. But what are the questions all about? Nidraya riyate naktam, vavavayena vavaya, divya charteya rajan, katumba bharanena va. During the day, people are wondering, how can I sleep? And is there any sex life available in some way? Nidraya means sleeping. Nidraya riyate naktam. At night, people are sleeping. Most fortunate people sleep at night. But even nowadays, you have to go and take classes on how to sleep. Now, any dog, although it's not uneducated, has never been to college, knows how to sleep. But now they have people in their PhD sleep degrees. And they probably pass the course if they sleep during the class. Nidra rite naktam, vavavayena chavavaya. And sex life, that's the culmination of all existence. And for that, divya charte harai rajan, during the day one has to work. So to get the things we need. And even if we're austere, at least we need some place to, something to cover ourselves with. So we have to work at least to do that. Just to put on our clothes in the morning takes some work. And for that, kundumba bharanenava, one has to go out and, what is one? Kundumba bharanenava, one is trying to maintain the family and oneself. And even if one doesn't have a family, usually one has a dog or a parakeet or something one is trying to maintain. But what is it all for? What is all this glorious activity meant for? All this society with all the cars going back and forth all the time, Instagram, all this internet, what is it, what the whole conversation, what is it all about, all this endeavor? Shukadeva Goswami summarizes, Deha Patya Kalatradishu, Atma Sanyeshva Satsubi, Tesham Pramato Nidanam, Pashanapina Pashiti. Basically speaking, we're just trying to stop from dying, that's all. So everyone is working hard to prevent themselves from dying. They get exalted positions as presidents or queens or kings, but they die anyhow. Doesn't matter who you are. Sorry for the bad news. We're not trying to upset anyone. Deha, the body, apatya, the children, and kalatra, the wife. And if you have children, you have a wife, you're probably going to have other things too, like a house, money, pumsa striya, is that the right one? Pumsa striya maituna bhavani tantra iva granti mahu ato griha kshetra sutapti vitera. Wealth and land and everything else. You need these things to properly maintain your family. But what do we want them? Atma sanyeshva satsupi, so that they'll be our soldiers. They'll protect us from death. They'll bring me to the hospital or whatever. But Atma Sanyeshva Asatsupi, they're fallible. They can't protect themselves. They themselves are going to die. So how are they going to protect me from death? Brahma couldn't protect his great devotee Hiranyakashipu from death. He couldn't protect himself from death. Brahma, who created the whole universe, can't protect himself from death. So who in this universe is so powerful they're going to protect themselves from death? So we have a plan we have a project of survival, but it's going to be a failure. This is really depressing class, isn't it? Pashana pina pash. Although they see, they can't see. So the question is, our minds are agitated, we're fearful all the time. You know, if I open the door, will there be the boogeyman behind the door? It's too dark. So everyone is fearful all the time. What is this person thinking? You know, he doesn't look like he's smiling at me. Maybe he has an ill intention. We're always fearful about everything. I'm eating this. What's in it? What's in the air? What's in the water? What's in people's minds? Therefore, everyone is trying to get out of the miseries of material existence. But there are means of getting out of the miseries of material existence have been proven to be a failure, even temporarily. Vitirna Krishna parataksatova mito bipadyeta grihavratanam adantago vira vichatam tamizram punak punas charvata charvanana. It's been a failure because they don't put their consciousness, Vitirna Krishna, they don't put their consciousness on Krishna. And only Krishna is peaceful. Only Krishna can be peaceful because he's in charge of everything. If you're in charge of everything, if you're controlling everything, you don't have to worry about everything that's going on because you're controlling it. Anything goes wrong, it's your fault. Can't blame anyone else. So Krishna is in control of everything, and Krishna is all good, and therefore one who takes shelter of Krishna and realizes that Krishna is in control of everything, then he becomes peaceful because he knows whatever is happening is for my good and for everyone else's good. Therefore, when the sages were talking about who is actually the supreme, there was a meeting of sages, and they were inquiring who is actually God, who is actually the person we're supposed to take shelter of. So they appointed Bhrigu Muni to go and ascertain who actually is the supreme, who is worthy of being taken shelter of. So Bhrigu Muni went to his father and Satyadweep in Brahmaloka. His father is Lord Brahma. And he saw Lord Brahma, oh, my son, you've come home, it's been so long. But immediately Bhrigu Muni completely ignored Brahma, didn't pay him any respect, didn't bow down before him. So Brahma said, oh, what a rascal. My son's a rascal, and he became angry. But Brahma's great intelligence checked his anger. Because his intelligence is compared to water, and his anger was compared to fire. So his great intelligence checked his anger. So we can also do that also. We usually get frustrated during the day a little bit too. If you have never noticed, unless you're a perfect devotee, you're never agitated. But we use our intelligence to cool our anger down, our frustration. So Brahma's anger was cooled down, but Bhrigu Muni didn't wait around to find out what the next step Brahma was going to do. So he left, and he went to Kailash, Mount Kailash, where his brother Shiva lives. And there Shiva said, oh, brother Bhrigu, so nice to see you. And he came to embrace Bhrigu. Stop, you dirty rascal. You're covered with ashes, you're ghostly haunted. Don't touch me, I'm a Brahmin. So Lord Shiva became very disturbed. Hearing this insult, took up his trident and said, oh, you don't like me, maybe you'll like my trident. But Parvati, Lord Shiva's wife, paid her obeisances before Lord Shiva, begging for Bhrigu Muni's mercy for Bhrigu Muni. And Lord Shiva checked his anger, and Bhrigu Muni left. He went to Swetadweep, where Lord Vishnu is residing, and there he crashed into the palace where Lord Vishnu is, and Lord Vishnu is lying on a bed, and Lakshmi Devi was massaging his lotus feet, and Bhrigu Muni simply went up to Lord Vishnu and kicked him in the chest. Imagine you're lying down and someone just opens your door, knocks it down, comes and kicks you in the chest. What will you think? But what did Vishnu do? Lord Vishnu? He got down from his bed and he paid obeisances to Brigamuni and put Brigamuni on his bed and started to massage his foot. Say, my dear Brigamuni, please forgive my offense. I didn't realize you were here. I would have greeted you properly, but unfortunately your lotus-like foot has touched my thunderbolt-like chest, so please let me massage it. Perhaps you feel some pain. And then Lord Vishnu said, my dear Brigamuni, please stay in this Vaikuntha planet and purify it, because you're a Brahmin. So Brigamuni was quite surprised that anyone, after being kicked in the chest, which was like the greatest offense, by his disrespecting Lord Brahma, then Lord Brahma, that's an offense within the mind. But by criticizing Lord Shiva verbally, that's offense with words. But the worst offense is a corporal offense, kicking Lord Vishnu. And yet Lord Vishnu was completely undisturbed. Instead, he remained affectionate towards Brigamuni and rendered service to him. So therefore, Brigamuni concluded that obviously the best person to take shelter must be Lord Vishnu, because he remains undisturbed under any circumstances. So this is the aim of life, to remain undisturbed even at the time of death, that we can actually think of Krishna. Now there's a process of Ashtanga yoga, asana, well actually for dhyana, actually not dhyana, yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dhyana, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. One can take this mechanical process, but it's not a very easy process. People for us, we don't take it very seriously because we're not going to follow the process. If I ask, what are the 5 different types of yamas? Can anyone tell us? Does anyone know what the 5 types of yamas are? What about niyamas? Do you know? Well, can you name one?
You mean niyam?
Any one of them. There's 10 of them. Yama, niyama. We don't. Things like, one of them is ahimsa, nonviolence, socham, cleanliness.
Truthfulness, cleanliness, non-violence, compassion, mercy.
Good guess, though. Ishvara Pradhana, worship of the Supreme, detachment, what is it? I said truthfulness, non-violence, and I can't remember them either. What's that? Yeah, brahmacharya is one, celibacy. So these are yama, niyama, asana, but asana, we can't, asana is not the aim of the yoga system. The aim of the yoga system is samadhi. Always think about Lord Vishnu within the heart. But that's not possible, in this age at least. It took Kardama Muni and Satyuga 10,000 years, and we're not going to live for 100 years. So how are we going to accomplish this yoga system? And even when we do it life after life, eventually, if it took 10,000 years, then by the time we perfect it, it would be the end of Kali Yuga. We'd be sitting there in meditation before we actually attain perfection. Therefore, what's recommended is the bhakti-yoga system, focusing the mind upon Krishna. But what's the problem is we have so many material desires. So many things are going through our mind that we're attached to. And therefore, when we chant Hare Krishna, nanuragaha, we don't have any attachment for the chanting. We're too busy meditating upon my desires when I chant Hare Krishna. Now, ordinarily, during the spring or during the winter, people, they clean their floor and they sweep all the dust underneath the carpet. Too lazy to use the dustpan. But when the spring cleaning comes and lift up the carpet, all the dust starts flying. So they start thinking, well, I clean, but it's getting dustier. Because all the dust was already there. It's just become aware of it in spring when you pick up the rug. Still, our minds are full of all kinds of anxiety due to our attachment to material desires. And therefore, when we start chanting Hare Krishna, all these ideas come to our mind. We wake up a little bit. Hare Krishna. When we chant Hare Krishna, we trying to do it offenselessly at least, then all this dust comes up and we become bewildered. I'm chanting, and yet my mind is more agitated. Maybe I should stop chanting and go back to sleep. I'll feel better. And what is the root cause? Peace, Nichena, Traivasi, Hishnana, Amanina, Madidena, Kirtana, Sadahari. I'm not humble. I'm not tolerant. I want respect for myself, but I really don't want to respect anyone else. And therefore, the whole world seems to be against me. There's so many obstacles for my happiness. The threefold miseries, the fourfold miseries, I can't tolerate them. I'm not humble because people are not giving me the respect I demand, I think I deserve. I think I have all the good qualities, and if anyone else has a good quality, it comes from me. And nadanamna janamna sundarim, and therefore I'm hankering to increase my prestige with wealth and followers, etc., etc. And therefore I can't chant Hare peacefully. There's too many things to accomplish in order to fulfill my material desires. But luckily, if we chant Hare Krishna, we try to concentrate our minds upon Krishna and become a little aloof from our material desires, then Krishna will actually fulfill them. Like Dhruva Maharaj, he was he gave up material desires by giving up eating. Stopped for the first month, he only ate kapita fruit every third day. And then for the second month, he only ate leaves that fell from the trees every sixth day. And then he drank a little water every ninth day. Then he only took the next month, successive months. And then finally,